Hi there. Nice to see you on such a rainy Monday. As you can see, everything is flourishing in my woods, and I'm so delighted for that. The rain has just been so good for it. And I woke up this morning, and with all the rain and the darkness and things like that, I was depressed. And oh, what a way to start. Let me start. Hey, Kathy, let me start by introducing myself. I'm Rita Hickman. Hey, Pam. I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body mind expert. I'm a shiatsu massage therapist, and I love to take a few minutes out of my morning during the week to share the things which keep coming up in my life, to share the wisdom and the background that I've really gathered over the last 15 years, really intensively, and then, of course, over a lifetime like all of us, especially how the body-mind works. And for the next couple weeks, we're going to be really going through my library and going through the amazing books that come into my life and inspire me and move me in these really positive directions to create, a business that really fulfills me and a family and a life that gets, that gets closer all the time. It wasn't always like this. And it's taken a lot of mentors and a lot of people in my life to really help me on that path. Hey, Natividad. And so it's me giving back to everybody all of the love and wisdom and insight and understanding and maturity that has been passed down to me. Hey, Tammy. So, as I said, for the next couple weeks, we'll be covering books in my library. And this week, we're going to be covering one of the brand new books that I just got from a favorite marketing expert of mine, surprisingly, who's evolved and developed, and I've really followed his work. His name is Eben Pagan. Hey, Christine. So, this is Eben's new book, Opportunity. And it's really based on something I love. It's based on paradigm shifts. It's based on models of looking at the world that we get to choose. So today's topic is, are you more butterfly or more dragonfly? So I've got experience with both, actually. For my wedding, my mom beaded. I wore this beautiful white doeskin wedding dress with fringe and everything, made by this woman who owned a Harley motorcycle leather shop, and she agreed to create this beautiful white doeskin wedding dress for me. And then my mom did the beadwork, and the beadwork was a dragonfly. And I really love dragonflies, and this was before I got to know butterflies too. For a period of my life, I ran a nature center, and at the nature center, we had a butterfly house. And we would raise butterflies, encourage them to lay eggs, to mate, to grow up and become more butterflies so that the cycle would continue. So I got really great insight into dragonflies and butterflies. And that's what we're looking at today. So one of the things I love about Eben's book is that he talks about how dragonflies have these lenses in their eyes. And the speed of their thought is about 5 times faster than how people think. And so dragonflies look at the world from all these multi-dimensions, from hundreds and hundreds of different perspectives. In my line of work, I'd like to call it looking at the diamond or examining the diamond and all the different angles and facets that the diamond has, and all the different ways we can look at something. Or if we're going to use the dragonfly metaphor, all the different lenses we can look through at an experience. Now, butterflies, on the other hand, they're beautiful, and they're also extremely intuitive, and they walk through the world using their felt sense. Now, the challenge with butterflies is that frequently they would use their intuition and their felt sense, but if things were an illusion, like they lived in a butterfly house, they couldn't recognize that they didn't live in a butterfly house. And so they kept flying towards the light and kept flying, towards the outdoors without realizing that in the process, that's how they would end up getting dehydrated and beat up, and they would keep beating their head up against the wall instead of recognizing, oh, this is the paradigm that I'm in. Dragonflies, one of their drawbacks is they eat everything else. They're carnivores, and they're pretty predatory, and so they don't have the same level of empathy that butterflies have. So butterflies have this high level of empathy and sensitivity, and dragonflies have this amazing ability to step back and look at the world through hundreds of different lenses. So we all have a mixture of both, which is very, very cool. And most of us who watch these things, we tend to be more butterflies. If you're showing up in the morning, you tend to be a little bit more butterfly, more sensitive, intuitive. You use your felt senses to navigate through the world. What does it feel like? What does it smell like? And that is a beautiful way of being. However, I'd like to suggest, if you're watching this, that we start also developing some of the parts of ourselves that we might not be as good at. And one of those things is really seeing the world, not just through multiple different people's eyes, because that's what we're good at. We're very good at being compassionate and seeing things from other people's perspectives. But what we're not good at is seeing things from whole different paradigms, whole different ways of interpreting the world. Hey, Linda, nice to see you. So I'm reading this great book, Opportunity by Eben Pagan, and the whole focus is on different models of the world and looking at the world from way different paradigms, way different ideas and ways to, let's look at the world in the box of, this rule or this model of thinking. Hey, Hannah Lisa. So he references all of these wonderful thought leaders. And one of the challenges that we have is we get attached to one model of thinking, one way of looking at the world, like love cures all, or all you need is love. Hey, Michelle. Or, spirit guides me, or whatever it may be. We're very used to looking at the world from one set of beliefs, one way of engaging with the world. I'd like to encourage us over the next couple weeks. I invite you to think of the world from many different paradigms, and I'm going to be introducing different paradigms. This book is all about, let's say how Warren Buffett may look at the world and interpreting the world and reality through some of Warren Buffett's ideas and belief systems, or looking at the world through Oprah's belief systems, or through belief systems of people from different cultures or from different fields of study. When we are sensitive people like I am, I tend to engage with the world based on my felt sense, how it feels to me. But that doesn't mean that's how I have to interpret the world. Because, hey, Sabrina, when I look at the world through just how I feel and my individual unique interpretation, I miss out on all of these opportunities and all of these great ways of really filling me out and becoming whole. So I've got a spiritual philosophy I kind of follow, and it's that we are one aspect of God, that we are one aspect of something so much bigger than us. And if we want to get closer to God, or if we want to get closer to that higher power or that higher wisdom, that we need to look at the world from all those different faces, all those different worlds. So look at the world from somebody who is a scientist, or looking at the world through somebody who is a marketer, or who's a race car driver, or who's an artist or guitarist. Starting to really look at the beliefs and the ideas that other people have and really adopting or looking through their eyes for a while, taking just a moment and looking at the world through that paradigm. Here's the really cool thing. Once you've got a lot of different points of view, you can now access those points of view whenever you want. So as we talk about different models of thinking, models of living life, or walking through this really crazy, complex experience that we're all having, we get to change the model that we view something through. It's as if we get to, I used to work in theater, and one of the things we would talk about would be stage lighting. And you would put different filters over the light to change how something looked and how something felt. And sometimes you would add multiple filters. You could decide, we're going to use the yellow light for this because it will make the scene feel more harsh. We're going to use the pink light for this because it'll make the scene seem softer. So you get to change the lenses and change the models that you look at the world through. That's totally possible for you. It doesn't mean you lose your identity. It doesn't mean that you lose yourself. What it means is that it opens up possibilities and probabilities and ways of engaging with the world that you never, ever would consider. And it gives you freedom and flexibility. And it gives you closer to that oneness that we're all kind of looking for. Hey, Lisa, that oneness with God or that oneness with each other that we really crave, that connection. Because when we can look at the world through multiple different lenses and we choose whether we want to be that dragonfly and what perspective we're looking at, it means that we get closer to everybody. We get to find the best path that works for us right now. And then when we've used that belief or that lens, we get to put it down. Or we get to look at a situation and take that time, really look at that diamond through that dragonfly eye and say, well, from this point of view, from the point of view of my family, this is what I value and matters to me. From the point of view of my business, this is what matters to me. From the point of view of my evolution, my self-actualization, this is what I see. And you get to evaluate a situation and choose what lens you want to pick. Choose which way you look at it. And that will direct how you engage with it and how you live your life. So for me, in the past, I've called it like multiple personalities, multiple aspects of myself. Well, guess what? You have more than just one personality. Hey, Diana, you have more than just one aspect of you. You have got millions and billions of aspects of you. And you've got aspects you haven't even developed yet. Points of view you've never even been exposed to that you can apply to your life to help you navigate it more smoothly, to grasp opportunities, and to move really in the direction that you want. So instead of getting completely attached to one identity, one way of being, I suggest that we start really cultivating, especially if you're watching this, really cultivating all of these different models of interpreting the world. And it doesn't mean we're stuck. It doesn't mean we have to, grab onto it and hold onto it for forever. We get to try it on, like a different pair of clothes. I get clothes sent to me every month in a box, and I love it. And I get to pick out from the clothes what I want to wear. And from these clothes, I get to be different people. I get to engage with the world differently. And so I've got someone else sending me clothes from their paradigm and their perspective. And it's done amazing things for how I interact with people and how I look. When we really dive into other models of thinking or other models of living, it doesn't mean we're betraying or getting rid of our identity or who we are. What it is it's getting rid of our limiting beliefs. It's expanding us. It's giving us options and choices and freedoms that we never would have even considered before. And we stop being trapped. Yes, exactly. And we stop being trapped. Lisa says when she worked as a nurse, she used to say, this is only a small piece of who I am. And that's exactly it. Every dance we have, every person that we meet, they're a small piece of us. We are huge. And the more you limit yourself by looking at the world through only one paradigm or one model, the more limited and small your life gets. The more you're willing to adopt different ways of viewing the world like a dragonfly, not just reacting more like a butterfly through our senses. Butterflies really are intuitive and reactionary. But the more that we, choose to see the world from a dragonfly's perspective, more and more options and rules and methods and models, the bigger we become and the closer to God that we get, I think. So that's going to be the next couple weeks. We're really going to dive into these models. And I thank Eben for, actually it's Eben. I thank Eben, hey Daniel, for really using language about models of thinking that I hadn't found language for yet, and really bringing together many models of looking at the world that I'm going to share with you. I'm just totally in love with this book and all of the models of thinking that we have. It's almost like, every guru that you go to, they've got one shtick. They've got one thing that they really focus on. That's what they do. That's what they say. And that's great. But that's just one out of billions of models of looking at the world. And so let's stop doing this one at a time and start recognizing and diving into all of these different ways of interpreting life and what lens or filter or screen we want to put on so that we can get a good, a much broader perspective. It's called Opportunity by Eben Pagan. Now, it just came out, and I believe the launch is over because I went looking for it because I wanted to buy more for all of my friends. But you might be able to find it on a used book site by now. Maybe some people bought them and put them on there, but if you look to buy it directly, the launch may be closed, although you may be able to find it on Amazon. So it's Opportunity, and it's the first edition of it. And what he's really doing is exposing the reader to multiple dozens of models to interpret the world and life. Not saying anything is better or worse than another one. It's not saying that any model is higher or lower. All he's saying is, why don't you try this pair of clothes on for a while? Why don't you try this model on? Or when you need to make a decision, or while you're waking up in the morning, look at the models that you can choose from and maybe look at the situation and say, what would it look like if I were a scientist? Or what would it look like if I was a guitarist? Or what would it look like if family was my focus? Try on different ones. Almost like when you were a kid and you got to imagine yourself as a firefighter or in the police force, or as if you were a dragon, or as if you were a hairdresser. When you gave yourself permission before you settled on an identity, you gave yourself permission to look at the world in millions of different ways. And that's what we're going to go on these next couple weeks. We're going to go on some fun journeys. I'm going to, go through some of the models and lenses that Eben, talks about. And I encourage you to share the models and the ideas that you've seen. Maybe it's the model of a 350-pound Ojibwe. That's how they look at life. Share that. Share the wisdoms that you've garnered over your life. And let's start looking at the world from multiple points of view and choosing. Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Hannah Lisa. And choosing, okay, today, this is the direction I'm going to go. Can you imagine how multifaceted and multidimensional that will make you? That's going to take you beyond the mundane of how we're trained to look at life through one point of view, what the media tells us. And it's going to turn you into this multidimensional being. I know, how metaphysical and crazy, right? But this is where metaphysics comes from. It comes from practicality. It comes from real world on the boots. This is what it looks like. So if you want to embrace your multidimensional being that you are, that's what we're going to do over the next couple weeks. We're going to embrace all these different models of looking at the world. And you don't have to choose one. You get to choose all of them. And then decide, by looking at the world, okay, let me look at it from this perspective, and this perspective, and this perspective, and this perspective. Now, what do I want to do about it? How fun, huh? Okay, so looking forward to it. Why, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that that you believe I'm wise. It's come through a lot of hard knocks. And the fact that you've been hanging out with me means that you're one of those super cool human beings too. And I'm excited to hear what wisdom you've gathered over the years, because I don't teach, I don't do the same things that everybody else does. And so let's really share our perspectives. Okay, this is going to be cool. So I'll see you tomorrow. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm not sure what model we'll look at, but start thinking about your own models of the world and getting ready to share, okay? So share this. We want to get as many people on the conversation as possible, because that makes us bigger and more multidimensional than we ever thought. Okay? The more people in on the conversation, the bigger we become and the closer to God that we get. Okay? Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay dry. Share, like, comment, because it means that this stuff gets more people into our dialogue. Okay? Talk to you later. Bye.